Welcome to Inspiring Insurance. Our goal is to provide value to the insurance industry through real-life experiences from insurance professionals who have walked the walk. You can expect to hear story sharing, top tips, and practical advice to help you grow and succeed in your career. We hope you enjoy this episode's guest. Welcome back to this week's episode of Inspiring Insurance. This week we are back in Perth. Really excited to bring to you someone whose career actually began in customer service at Coles, and then they jumped into the insurance industry. They've got 10 plus years experience. They're a working mum. Really excited to introduce you today to Areewan, Wicharueang. Did I get the name right?
Yes, perfect. Ari's fine.
Thanks for joining me today, Ari.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Well, I'm really excited for you to share your story with the insurance community today. So let's go all the way back. Customer service at Coles, jumped into insurance. What made you want to get into the industry?
Well, mine's a little different than other people's. Most brokers would say that, fell into the industry kind of thing. Mine was planned way in advance. So I had my sister-in-law actually part of AEI carriers. They said I can name them. So they're one of the biggest heavy motor insurance fleet brokers. One of the biggest one over in the East Coast. And I was very fortunate to, they took me in for 6 months as part of my program for uni at the time. And after the 6 months as an intern ended, offered me a junior role. Junior role involved in customer service, basic, filing, answering the phone. Mr. Frank. Franking machine. Some of our guys, new brokers, don't know what that is. So that's the old stamp. So that was great. 3.5 years as junior AE, and also they built me in between, have more exposure to different risks within the heavy motor. Never touched anything personal line until I moved across to Gallagher, where it was a mixed book of clients, which that's where most of my, knowledge, grew from there. It got to the time after 3.5 years, I thought I needed something different. I needed to know more about this pack for restaurants, catering, tourism. And here I came, overcrossed from Sydney to WA. I had a really good team back in Sydney, who I started with at Gallagher, who supported me and offered me a really good opportunity to come across to WA, Perth. And I met some really, really great people, my mentors, my colleagues, my senior. It's been a really good run with, the last 5 years. Took a bit of time off. So, my period, it's a bit of time, little one. 2 years old, and so coming back to work, was fortunate as well. Lucky that John took me in for 4 months period, then took another time off. And this opportunity came around, and you always checked in on me, so that was great. Always kept in touch in the industry. A lot have changed, and now we're here, master builders, doing the things I love: constructions, risk, anything related. And it's just been a win really, but we got here at the end.
Love it. You found your home.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing I said to you. I don't care how to pay. I just wanted to find a home, and this is home now. So it's been a pretty good run.
Love it. And you and I have known each other for the last couple of years now, and something that I always knew with you is that mentorship piece was really, really important to you, and you've kind of just highlighted that through that little snapshot there. So when you said you had some really, really great mentors throughout your career, what does that mean to you, and why do you think that's so important?
Well, for me, it's more of the bouncing ideas off them or learning the rope. It's very hard for this generation to, have that sort of solid mentor that they go to, because everyone's so busy. Our industry becoming a very burn and churn and burn. And, it's tough. And if the brokers have to meet their budget and they haven't got that time to sort of put aside, or kind of, having that boundaries between, right? But for me, I found I was so lucky being part of AI, carriers, insurance brokers, the girls, sitting on the same floor and next to each other. You sort of take in and you sponge in as much as you can. you find your own people, and it sort of grows from there. Insurance is something that you can't just learn overnight. You have to think like a broker who provide extended, services where they haven't thought that far ahead, but you're sort of providing them to prep ahead for what could happen. So for me, that's something that some people happen to naturally. Some people just, grow around people that sort of mentor, grow them. So yeah, no.
Love it.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
yeah. What's the number one piece of advice someone has given you throughout your career that you still, I guess, use to this day within your broking role?
Would be add value, and if you compete in price, you'll lose over price. So for me, I've got to stop you there first though. I don't charge my clients massive fees, none of that. It's just more of you need to be able to demonstrate why these costs are, what involves in what you've done. So you need to be able to articulate what works you put in. You need to be able to demonstrate what could happen or tell the story where they don't feel that you're there to witch hunt or, putting them on the spot. But you need to be able to, show the clients that you're being part of their business, their livelihood, and you're working with them and working for them, not against them. Because at the end of the day, they just need someone that they can trust. That's
Sure. And how early on in your career did you get given that piece of advice?
Probably midway when I was over here by Duncan Kid, who's also my work dad. I think for someone to just say that, but also other men, words that he've also put out there, I think that's something that stuck with me the most. Yeah,
love it. And what's been the highlight of your career so far? What's like that number one memorable moment for you?
Oh, 2 days after I gave birth to my little girl, one of my biggest clients from Gallagher, who we still keep in contact and became more like a family. They've got 5 kids, and 2 of the kids are my really good friends. And he walked up 3 flights of stairs to my medical suite and gave me this beautiful basket. And that stuff, with me 2 days after they gave birth, and that family, and the Gilbert, hands down. So it's sort of that was probably the hardest as well, to walk away from my clients that I've serviced for 5 years. Some great association that I was servicing for that long. But for me, it's good. It feels nice to know that they still think of you and keep in contact with you after all this time.
Yeah, it goes just to show that the relationships built are a lot deeper than just that surface level, right? So I think that's really, really nice. It seems like you're getting a little bit emotional about that as well. It's so nice.
I'm such a sook.
Why do you think relationships are so important in this industry? They're pretty much the backbone of what makes a successful broker. Why do you think that's so important?
Well, our sort of line of work is built on trust, right? And there's a moment of truth. And I think for us is that they need to be able to rely on us to be that person when that moment of truth arrived, and also will be the first or second after the firing, if the factory got burnt down or if the car got totaled, or it's one of those things where, but we need to be able to put boundaries as well aside, where, okay, well, close relationship, yes, but also you need to go, but I work for you, I work with you, therefore whatever we disclose, it's got to be by the book or above board, right? So it's very important, I think, nowadays, especially with the whole burn and churn sort of system, where you don't pick up the phone, you don't go out for coffee, you don't have the time because of the budget expectation. The higher you get, the more tasks you're going to follow, the more people you're going to take in and mentor. Unfortunately, it's sad to see that our industry becoming that. So that's just.
Yeah. What do you think, just on that piece of, I guess, as you're stepping up the ranks, you've got more tasks, more responsibilities, you're mentoring people. Talk to me about how you juggle all of those different requirements in your role. How do you prioritize your day? How do you make sure what needs to get done gets done?
So, for example, June's coming up. Now, I'm make sure anything compliance, for example, for renewals would have gone out. Usually, probably 6 weeks, as you know, for what our guidelines would be. But for our ones, it has actually gone out 10. I'll make sure that mine gone out 10 weeks or 12, and then I'll pick up the phone straight away and say, look, you see it early, but this is why June, and the feedback that I've been getting from the clients was perfect. We needed this to come out early. I wanted to get it finalized before this day. And that actually showed that sometimes clients just needed that little TLC, which is, and I love and care.
Got it.
So it's just one of those where, you know, it's making sure that they haven't been forgotten. And for me, prioritize is the most, it's tough because, you know, diagnosed with ADHD, and able to, I'm medicated, and also be able to just go with structure routines, but sometimes things that are, you know, too exciting to pass on is kind of like, well, I'm just going to go down my little rabbit hole now. But yeah, it's tough but challenging. So you ask your questions, yes, get things done. That is, get done out early. Make sure it's like way earlier instead of being late. And also anything that clients waiting on, make sure you jump onto it. If you can't get it done that day, you make sure you let them know what have you promised to clients or even underwriters. I mean, you know, our job is more of a 3, 4, 5 ways relationships, right? You can keep that going, but hey, you got to make sure that you look after the guys that are on the end of the deal as well, because at the end of the day, those are the people that you need to call up for favors. And you know, over the past 7 years being in Perth, almost 7, yeah, it's good to see that I made some really good relationships, you know, like friends throughout that are not brokers, but they're underwriters or insurers, and it's just, yeah, it's nice to have that.
Yeah, amazing. What would you say to someone who might be in their first year of broking? It's their first June 30 craziness that they're coming up to. What's your piece of advice to people in that situation?
June's only once a year.
Yeah.
So it won't last forever. Whatever happened in June, stay in June. That's how I look at it. But, you know, it depends on what happened to you. But I think everyone has things, everyone deal with stress sort of differently, right? So make sure that you balance your diet, you balance your physical diet and then exercise. You play sport, stick with it. Don't forget to take care of number one first, which is yourself. Then things will fall into place for you. So I think you just need to, keep that balance, and people deal with stress in a different way. So making sure that what works for you for June. So, but at the end of the day, you need to cut other people's slacks as well, because sometimes stress is not there, you know, greatest strength to deal with. But so I think June, you just have to be more empathetic towards your colleagues. Some people might have just gone rah, but for me, I just you've known for that long. I'll just go off on subjects, go on tangents.
Yeah, sure. It's quite interesting because coming into June for us, recruiting for the industry, no one wants to speak with us in June. Everyone says, Nathan, wait till July, we'll speak to you then. I'm like, okay, we get it. You're busy. So yeah, I think you're completely right. Make sure you take care of one first, and then everything else will fall in line.
Exactly.
What are some things that you've learned along the way throughout your career which you think would be inspiring or motivating for newer people to the industry?
Newer people, whatever age you are, find your group, find your niche, find your people, find your mentor, find things that make you get up in the morning, right? For example, if you're into enjoying processing or enjoying client facing or role, or enjoying that part of the job, or claims, or just don't like to talk to anyone and process or invoice numbers, you need to voice that to your mentor or your boss or your supervisor, line manager, your department manager, right? Or your senior brokers technically. And I think there's no such things as perfect job, but if you voice your needs and able to ask for help, or know when to ask for help, if you don't understand it, speak up. I had that mentality where, oh, they're going to judge me, but I don't know. It's called something syndrome. Yeah, right. And that's really hard to sort of get rid of. And I need, if I could go back and tell my younger me now, that I would just say, just ask questions. Don't sit there going Control F and finding all those things for that long. I mean, read policy wordings, yes, use that as a habit, but at the end of the day, you need to know when it's time to ask for help and know when to accept help. And I think it's quite hard because, people come from different family, different way, but at the end of the day, you need to be considerate of others. So, and also, find a part of the job you enjoy the most. They might be able to allocate certain things, and ask if you like to grow or you're just comfortable with your job. That's fine. If you're willing to move forward in your career, seek a mentor outside of work, within the work or place, or if you want to if you think I'm fun, reach out to me, LinkedIn. Yeah. But some of the insurers probably got my phone number because Ari the stalker, they call me that, or Friday Special Ari, that's another name, or Freedom Flyers, that's my other name too. So seriously, just reach out. There's association like Gibbs, there's what we're working on together, which is that's something, watch his space. We're going to do a big call out for a lot of broking houses out there that might be something that we can put together to bring in more blood into the insurance world. And hopefully we can retain, because the hardest thing is retaining workforce, right? People get burnt out. So we don't want you guys to get burnt out. That's what I want to say. We just wanted to make sure that we have solid people to drive this that I love. So
Sure. There's two things that I'd really like to unpack from what you've just said there. The first thing is, you mentioned being in your own head around asking for help earlier in your career. How did you overcome that? What did you do?
A lot of psychotherapy sessions. Outside of that, and also, I'm a big believer in self-growth and life's journey. But it comes to time after, I think mainly after I had Aurora. Oh, by the way, my Aurora, your Aurora. And so it sort of made me reflect a lot of things in life, where it goes, what's the point? I had a different mentality back then, when I just push and work until 3 o'clock in the morning. Some insurers will just ring me up and say, why are we up at 4 or why are we up at 2? I haven't been to bed. But it's got to where it's called, I can't swear in this one, but FU mentality, just I want it to be better than you. I want to drive myself so hard to prove you wrong that I can do it. But now, after coming back from that sort of, I don't want to ask, I don't want to reach out, imposter syndrome sort of dropped off in a way, because you just need to find your why I'm doing this. Is it about money? Is it about the name? Is it about my reputation? Or is it about building a solid legacy and foundation for my daughter, so she can look at me one day and go, oh, Mum, you've done that. Oh, Mum, it's something that runs deep for me, because it's just, that's something I want to build.
Yeah, it goes back to finding your why and your purpose. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And the other question I had to you that I wanted to unpack there as well. So you mentioned retention in the industry being an issue. What's your opinion on retention in the industry as a whole, and how do you think we can overcome it?
I wanted to touch on the working from home. I mean, I think it's a great idea, hybrid. Like if if you get to a certain level of your career that you're sort of self-sufficient with the knowledge, the technique and the system using or whatever. But I think I was pretty lucky in a way that there's no working from home back then. And being on the floor, sitting next to other brokers who's been around a lot longer, even just sponge of them have a way to deal with things, certain risk, right? Or issue. If clients complain about this, how do you deal with that? And by sitting around other brokers, you sponge in all these techniques without you knowing. And I think, I'm not saying that's why I make me a good broker, unless, you want to go that way. But I think for us now, for the younger generation coming in nowadays, I just wanted to make sure that people know to not get into the cycle of emails only, done, emails only, pick up the phone. Yeah. And I feel that it's sort of leaning towards the system of we're just a pigeonhole, we're just a processor, well, more than that. You need to find your authenticity or your bring out who you are. Yeah. And you'll find your clients. Like, I love to get to the point where I can just pick and choose my clients. If you're not my people, I don't want to deal with you. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, Perth is small and Perth people like dealing with the people they like. So, if you're a likable person, come into insurance, stick with it. Yeah. Retentions, and you need to also acknowledge your staff. I mean, at the end of the day, if the kid's going to go out and have a few drinks or coffee, catch up, encourage them, yes, but also hold them accountable for the works. I mean, it goes both ways, trust and rewards, and also, look out for them. Because at the end of the day, if they haven't been feeling that you're on their side or trying to create something or grow them, then they're not going to stick around.
Yeah, so important. Goes back to that good onboarding, good mentorship, building good relationship with your team, and then hugging them so tightly that they don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being a guest for us today. I think there's definitely lots of top tricks and insights that you've been able to share with us. I love your why. I love your purpose. I think it's so amazing that you're doing everything for your little girl. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, Ari.
Thank you.